Welcome to today's edition of Market Wrap. It was a good day for the markets today. The Nifty managed to hold above 8650 mark. In fact, it rebounded about 50 points after 2 days of consolidation. During the day, the Nifty also tried to inch closer to that 8700 marks. At the point of the day's high, we actually...
Funny because this is the fourth consecutive session when the Nifty is trying to reach out for that 8700 mark and it still hasn't. And of course, on the other hand, it hasn't reached the 8600 level on the downside either. So consolidation continues.
So that's correct. 3 days where it tried to save itself from falling below that 8600 mark, and today we saw it attempt crossing or at least reaching close to 8700. That's how this week was, this short week. Of course, we still have Friday. And bank and realty stocks, two of them actually aiding that 50-point rebound that we saw today. So we ended at 8673, so not a bad day as far as markets were concerned, and we ended with gains, and that was on the back of a favorable market breadth also. So 5:2 is where the advanced decline ratio stood at. But one index which actually stood out today was the banking index. If you see the bank Nifty, it hit its 17-month high today. In fact, all the 12 components of the bank Nifty ended in green today, so all of them seeing gains of anywhere between 0.5% to 3.5%. Of course, IndusInd Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, ICICI Bank, so all your private sector banks leading all those gains. So banking stocks in limelight today. I don't know what happened to all the NPA issues all of a sudden. On the losing hand, we had the Nifty Metal Index that had been seeing some strength and momentum that was building up over the last 3 sessions. So some amount of profit booking that we saw today. So that was what was on the losing side. But more interestingly, Agam, what did Hemant Tukral have to tell you on your surfs up today? So F&O trends, and what did he say?
So he acknowledged the fact that the Nifty has been consolidating. He has said that very clearly, and more importantly, he said that we are more or less ready to break out from these levels, and fortunately, at least as far as he's concerned, he's expecting Nifty to move upwards. So he says that as long as we do not breach the mark of 8580 on the lower side, we are good to go. He recommends buying on dips, and he also expects Nifty to reach above 8800 very soon. Now let's also take cognizance of what's happened in the F&O market. Remember, yesterday was a very important day when it comes to the upside levels, because the open interest distribution in the calls went from 9,000 to 8,000. On the other hand, we continue to see maximum open interest in the 8,500 and the 8,600 calls, and this is very evident in today's action as well. When it comes to open interest, we have seen maximum amount of activity in the 8,600 mark. So while we have seen unwinding of puts around there on that strike, we've also seen an increase of open interest in the index calls when it comes to the 8,600 call. So on the whole, it really we haven't really seen much, but we will be keeping an eye on the 8600 and the 8700 mark, because we have been hanging around in this range for a good 4 sessions now. And as a lot of analysts, including Hemant Tukral, have suggested that a breakout is imminent, we'll be waiting out for where we go from here. But until then, we are going to have to keep an eye on stocks and individual movements.
Right. We'll also talk about some of the Nifty gainers and losers. So what really stood out today? A lot of stocks. You have Ultratech Cement, Power Grid Corporation, NTPC, IndusInd Bank. All of these saw gains of anywhere between 3 to 5%. So not your usual names to really figure up in the list of top Nifty gainers. Besides Ultratech Cement, you have NTPC, Yes Bank. All of this hit their 52-week high today. On the other hand, we saw Coal India correcting today. So yesterday it was up about 2.5%. Today it is down 2.5%. So basically it gave up all of yesterday's gains. Hindalco is another name which I want to mention. Again, saw some profit booking. It had been rising steadily for the last 3 sessions. In fact, it is up about 9.5% in the last 3 sessions, not counting today. So that saw some profit booking coming in. But Agam, if I just talk about the broader trends, government bond yield rose by about 0.4% to 7.134. So it was a fourth straight day where we are seeing that bond yield rise. The yield has declined about 0.5% since August 8th. That was the day your last RBI policy came out, and we were all wondering when we would start inching close to that 7% mark. But I think the last 4 days have been on the contrary. We are rising steadily as far as yields are concerned. Bond prices are falling. Interestingly, crude is a space which is doing well. Crude oil. So you have Brent crude, which has risen steadily from $40 a barrel. That is where it was at the beginning of this month, and we have climbed up, inched up steadily to reach that $47 a barrel mark where we are today. So at least it's been a good few days as far as crude is concerned. Anything that you're noticing as far as mid caps are concerned?
So you have addressed crude. Remember, we do have a lot of sectors out there which are impacted directly by the movement of crude. So we can keep an eye on all the paint companies as well as the tire producing companies. Of course, I really want to ask you, Shraddha, what's going on with Jubilant Life Sciences, because that stock is up 34% in 1 week, and it has also risen 63% in 1 month. Any idea as to what's happening there?
Totally earnings, Agam. It's earnings which is really playing out for Jubilant Life Sciences. So one stock amongst the mid-cap pharma names which has really run up after the earnings. I think the earnings came out on August 9th, and besides the numbers that you gave me, around 40% jump is what we've seen from August 9th itself. So yes, one company doing well.
Right. So other than Jubilant Life Sciences, we have seen two companies from the housing finance sector make fresh lifetime highs. So I'm referring to Diwan Housing Finance and LIC Housing Finance. Other than that, we've also seen good gains coming in Bharat Financial Inclusion, up 6.5%. Gujarat State Petronet, Piramal Enterprises, another stock which has been doing very well recently. Sun TV Networks and Dish TV also from the media sector doing quite well in trade today. On the losing end, we have Strides Shasun continue to make losses and is looking at a decline of around 3.6% after we have seen more news and earnings come out yesterday. Jubilant Foodworks and Seat and Persistent Systems among the other stocks which haven't really done very well today. But given the fact that the mid-cap indices have ended in the green and have gained well over 100 to 120 odd points, well, we can say that it's been a reasonably good day for mid-caps along with the big benchmark. So is there anything that we are looking out for going into the next couple of days, Shraddha?
Agam, one or two stocks before I come to that. Z-Learn and Treehouse Education, they announced their revised merger ratio yesterday, and both of them saw some good reactions and gains on the back of that. Today they continued with their gains, so there was no correction. They continued to inch up. Equities Holdings also saw some gains today. That counter is going to be added to the BSE 500 index, so that's another counter which saw some good reaction coming in. In terms of what are we looking out for, again, no major global cues. We just have one Friday left, but RBL Bank, that IPO opens tomorrow, so all eyes are going to be, remember of late we've seen the IPO market very buoyant. We are seeing oversubscription as far as your retail investors are concerned, your HNI category, QIB. So I'm not sure how this is going to turn out to be tomorrow, but the IPO opens tomorrow. They're looking to raise about 1,200 crores, out of which 830 crores will be via fresh issue, and the rest is OFS. So your existing shareholders are looking to sell. Price band 224 to 225 per share. How is the IPO really? Their NII, that is net interest income, and net profit have grown at a 5-year compounded annual growth rate of about 45%. So that's tremendous. Pretty good even as far as the top line growth or NII is concerned. NPAs, I'm not going to not talk about it because being a bank, that is one important factor. NPAs have risen over the last 1 year. They have seen some 200 basis points jump in the NPAs, but this has been a factor which has impacted the entire banking industry, so I don't think this really stands out. But they've managed to maintain their gross NPAs below that 1% mark. So NPAs were about 0.98 or 0.99% in FY16. So that talks a little good as far as asset quality management is concerned. Their cost to income ratio is significantly higher compared to most of the other mid-cap private banks. CASA ratio is slightly lower. So again, there is a scope for improvement, and any of these actions will really result in higher net interest margins.
Well, I actually have a question on the valuations, because I know that all the recent IPOs, markets have completely disregarded the valuations, and in fact they haven't paid no heed to valuations at all. So any idea or word on how the valuations stack up as compared to its peers?
Agam, yes, I did do that calculation today. So at the upper price band of 225, the stock will be trading at about 2.18 times their FY16 book value. Now, if I compared the average number, the same average valuation price to book based on FY16 numbers for 10 private sector banks, that came to about 1.93. So I could say it's a slightly in line to probably a marginal premium sort of a ratio as far as valuation is concerned.
Right.
One or two broking firms have given us subscribe, so let's wait for more to come.
Of
But
course, yeah.
but I'm sure there's going to be significant investor interest for sure. So that's about it for the day. So that was your market action for the day, and continue to join us at 3:45 p.m. on Bloomberg Quint Facebook Live. Tomorrow is going to be important. We need to see if we are able to touch that 8,700 mark or not. I think that's our next benchmark. So yes, thank you and see you again.